this is the ritual you need to go through in order to become a man. It doesn't matter.
I wonder if it's a mindset thing at the end of the day, because I feel like maybe the average consumer doesn't necessarily even understand what really goes into running a business.
I guarantee you they'll never have the balls to tell me that in my face, but I guarantee you that there's a lot of haters out there.
People only hate on people doing better than them. You never hear somebody like hating on someone that's doing worse than them because they've been in that spot before.
Deep down, it shows the psychological aspect of it that basically they're hating.
We wanted to see the world. We want to do really nice things. We want to retire our parents on the golf course. The only way that you're going to be able to attain that is if you really put in the work and separate yourselves.
They will have strong opinions about things, but because they're so aggressive in their manner, they don't actually ever have anyone to actually challenge them and tell them, hey, like what you're saying here isn't necessarily correct.
There's three type of people you're gonna meet when it comes to that. You have people that discuss entertainment, you have people that discuss issues, and then you have the third type of people that find solutions. Those are the only three types of people you're gonna meet.
This is the Nico Lagan Show. Frankly, motivation is bullshit. What you need is discipline, and your mindset is the difference between success and failure. Warning. This show contains explicit content. Listener discretion is advised. Real, raw, and shooting you straight. This is the Nico Lagan Show. And now your host, Nico.
Welcome to another episode of the Nico Lagan Show. I have the pleasure to be sitting with some very ambitious young men. You guys have seen them on TikTok. You have seen them on YouTube, Instagram, Pornhub maybe, I'm not sure. You've seen them everywhere. But they are the three guys that runs the School of Hard Knocks. What the fuck is going on, guys?
Hey,
how we doing?
What's up?
Super happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Listen, this whole thing started because you actually approached me at the gym like a weirdo.
Yeah.
In between sets, as my girlfriend's recording me work out, because that's not weird at all. So you decided to approach and ask for my number. That's fucking weird when you think about it.
It is weird.
But if you guys want to go one after the other, who you are, what you do, and why the fuck do you do it?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm James Dumoulin. I'm 1/3. I'm a co-founder of the School of Hard Knocks. Had the pleasure of meeting Nico this past week in Gold's Gym in downtown Austin. But just a little bit about us. We started a channel. It's primarily on TikTok, but it's on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube as well, that we've grown in a little over a year to over 1.2 million followers across all the platforms. And it's really centered around connecting with the best of the best professionals, entrepreneurs, business owners, taking the perspectives of them and delivering the content to people all around the world. We have people that follow us in over 50 countries, and really just to kind of serve as kind of mentors at scale and just bring some of the best advice and perspectives to people all over the world and really help change the course of the way financial literacy is taught in schools and homes and be able to help provide value to people all over the world. So I had started off in content creation in 2020.
Yep.
I had grew my personal TikTok following to just shy of 1 million followers. And then this is a new kind of venture that we started together where we kind of took all of our individual skill sets, applied it here, and that's where we are now. And so kind of hand it off to Jack.
Yeah, so I'm Jack Dumoulin. I'm James's brother, and kind of where I kind of got started was towards the end of high school, beginning of college, was really heavy into analytics, just technical, working on consulting projects and stuff. Did a little bit of work, but then ultimately kind of saw that entrepreneurship really was the path for me. And luckily around the same time is when the three of us kind of rekindled our just relationship, meeting up with Josh and founded the School of Hard Knocks, like James said, just trying to bring as much value in career mentorship, financial literacy, and mentors at scale to the younger generation, whether it's through short form, long form, or podcasts, and just being able to meet great people like Nico. And being able
He's
to
sucking up already.
It's just being able to meet and get that sort of mentorship, like whether it was James or somebody else, luckily you have a podcast and a platform where you do it, but most people that we interview don't have a platform where they're able to share their experiences. And that's the beautiful thing about the journey that we've started, is being able to just talk with all sorts of people. For example, this one private equity guy, I'd say he's around late 50s, early 60s. He basically hadn't really touched social media, and we had done an interview with him, and he had people that he hadn't heard from in 20 years hit him up, basically. And that sort of mentorship that he gave would have never gotten out if we never did that interview.
No, absolutely. That's one of the most special things about Hard Knocks, just the fact that we can give these people who have never had an audience before an audience and someone to speak to. So I haven't introduced myself yet. I'm Josh, the third partner of the School of Hard Knocks. My kind of story summed up is I was going to college, community college in Northern Virginia, met my business partner. We started a digital marketing agency, ended up dropping out of school. And safe to say my parents weren't too happy about that for a couple of years until I was really able to prove myself and show that, hey, I can do this entrepreneurship thing full time. After about 2 years doing the digital advertising, I parted ways with my business partner. It wasn't really my passion. And funnily enough, on a whim, I met these guys at a kickback at a random party one night. And I was like, we reconnected. We're like, wow, we have so many things in common. We have a lot of the same goals, ambitions. Let's do something together. And that was kind of like the birthplace of Hard Knocks.
If you can't tell from the camera, those motherfuckers all have blue eyes. They can all suck dicks, by the way. All of them, they work out together. They all have the same eyes. It's pretty freaky. One thing that completely amazes me from you guys, and we talked about it when you guys interviewed me, because the interview lasted, 13 minutes, but we ended up talking for 3 hours.
Yeah, the outside of the Marriott, just they're getting ready to kick us out.
Yeah.
In the cold, too.
Yeah. Well, for as cold as Texas get, I'm Canadian. This ain't cold.
There we go.
But what I find absolutely amazing, and we talked about it during the interview, is, the fact that before 1944, there was no such thing as a teenager, right? You had boys, men, and the transition between the two was very clear. There was a rite of passage that made you go from one to the other. And that was always brought up by the father. The father was always there to say, this is the ritual you need to go through in order to become a man. It doesn't matter if you get married, have kids, you need to take care of the farm, whatever it might be, depending on the situation where you live in the world and the society in which you live. But one thing that's completely amazing with you guys is that it doesn't seem like you've transitioned through the teen portion, because at your age, you're 20, 22, and 24. You have more entrepreneurship than most people in their 40s. And I know for a fact, just by looking at you and seeing throughout the 3 hours conversation that we have, the fact that you guys are doing what you're doing with the success that you're having already, I know that there's great men in your families. Like, there's absolutely no doubt that you didn't fuck around during your teenage years. Like, you guys figured out, even if you didn't know exactly, you were already thinking ahead, as in what the hell comes next. So whoever wants to fight to answer this question first, I really want for you guys to explain to the people listening what it is to have a great father, what it is to have a very strong masculine influence in your life, and how did that play out for the present and the futures that you guys are going to have.
Absolutely. I'll kind of start off on this, and then if you guys want to feed in. But for those of you who don't know, Jack and I, we're brothers here. We were very blessed with the privilege of having John Dumoulin as our father.
Sorry, but he keeps on talking away.
Yeah.
I think he's scared of the microphone like it's a penis, so I'm going to just put it in his face so that he does it. Oh, I think it's too high. There we go. This is the beauty about podcasts.
There we go. But we were very blessed to have an incredible father in our lives growing up. He was a very high-ranking military officer, went to the United States Military Academy at West Point up in New York. And, through that, we saw him at an early age leading tens of thousands of troops in South Korea, being the garrison commander, being in charge of the largest overseas military installation in the entire world. We saw him being the XO of generals and being, right under the Secretary of State. So seeing that at an early age, the leadership, the values, the morals that he had. And I'll tell you this, because there are a lot of people in those positions, whether it's the top of military, the top of government, the top of healthcare, where there's a lot of corruption and all of that, where a lot of people are just doing it for the money. They're doing it for all these things. I always speak about this. If there's one takeaway that I was given from our dad, it was he's got more integrity than any other man that I know. And it was very much, he was a great father, but he really instilled those values in us of, if you want something in life, you got to work for it, but do it the honest way. A lot of people, they want to kind of cheat their way through things and scheme, which there's a time and place for that. But, if you really want something, you got to put in the work for it,
Do the work. It's that simple. I say that all the time. It's just that there's no shortcut. Just do the work.
Something I would say is actually interesting for me is I would argue that I actually wasn't the main significant figure in my life. Actually, wasn't my father. And the reason I say that is because my dad, they actually met. Our fathers met overseas, but my dad was actually deployed for most of my life. So I would say that I was borderline raised by my mother. But as we've talked about in our previous conversation, there is some things that your mother simply just cannot teach you, right? But I kind of went through the school of hard knocks. I really feel like I started to really develop when I went into college. And because when I started that digital marketing agency, I invested in like masterminds and to get in the rooms with other people who are where I want to be. And so I'd say the biggest development for me personally as an individual came from outside figures, other mentors like Boy Scouts, mentorships, and those served more or less as a father figure for me more directly than I could say my actual father himself. I have nothing but love for him, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying in the sense of like, in terms of who I was raised by, I would say it's actually more my mom. But I would say my mom is definitely more masculine than the average woman. Like she sets down the law, has no room for BS. Like she is like what her word is goes, more or less.
That's a good thing you're saying, because I was raised without a father figure. Like when I turned 14, my dad left, and I saw him twice before he died when I was 30. So I looked for those influences, because you're going to do it no matter what. I don't care which man you are. I don't care where you're born. You will look for male influences. And now we're lucky that because of YouTube, because of technology, you can find them everywhere. There's good men out there. You don't need to know them personally in order to learn from someone, but this is absolutely great. And the mastermind, you know what, explain to the people that are listening that do not understand the principle of mastermind, because I want you, because as a 40-year-old, I've been talking about this shit for 20 years.
Yeah.
What the fuck is a mastermind? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, so first of all, I still think they gotta create a better name for that.
I like the name.
It sounds like you're going into an evil lair, and you're discussing
okay, so we're not talking about the same thing then.
But pretty much what a mastermind is, I actually signed up for this guy. His name's Joe Soto. I paid $15K for a year, pretty much to get in a small group with pretty much 20 other people, all within the same kind of space, within advertising. And some of these people were doing anywhere from, $5K a month to $150K a month.
Yep.
And so you got a wide variety of people. And also, I was 20 years old when I went in there. And most of the people in there are, 40, 50.
They're old.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
much older, yeah. But I would say getting in the room and joining a mastermind, I feel like is a great shortcut for success, because you will learn from people who would simply just share their experiences with you and be able to teach you things that you wouldn't have learned otherwise. And I think one of the biggest things that I got from that was, like I said, some of the leadership in my life and people who could actually provide real actual guidance for me. And I feel like if that's something you're looking for, could be a good investment for you as well.
It's the beauty of coaching. I've learned most of the things that I know by myself, but how faster would I have learned if I would have had somebody to teach me? This is all it comes down to. Do you want to wait 10 years to learn something, or can you learn something within a year because the other person's been doing it for 20? This is the beautiful thing. But a mastermind goes even further than that, because what you're talking about sounds more like a coach. Because a mastermind, the way I normally explain it, is really you have a bunch of people you want to be. People you run, and it doesn't matter if it's a group of 2, a group of 1, or a group of 10 if you're lucky, but they're really just people that can guide you and call your bullshit. Make sure that they're not going to sugarcoat it for you. They're not going to say, oh, you're doing great, keep up the good. No, you're fucking up right now. Why the fuck are you doing this? And there's no price. Even if it's 15 grand, and for the people listening, if you think that's a lot of money, it's not. This is an investment. Like, you're going to get that money back 100-fold if you actually pay attention. I'm just amazed. I really love hearing a 24-year-old explain what a mastermind is. It's something it's missing. I don't see that often. How do you think you guys compare to your peers? Like, you probably have friends that you went to high school with. You probably have people you went to college with, or you met during your 2 semesters of university before quitting. Fucking quitters. No, but before you actually, when you were in school, when you were young, do you see those people still?
I mean, it's very interesting. And we all probably have maybe some different perspectives. Maybe Josh does, but I at least know for myself that in high school, I'll talk more so about college, because college is where I really saw that there was kind of a difference. And it was more so in the sole fact that it was like my transition from high school to college was very entrepreneurship based, and college is not really a place for entrepreneurs. College is a place that's pretty much set up for employees, workers. They're trying to incorporate entrepreneurship into the college space, but it's not pure raw entrepreneurship. Ever since I stepped on the college campus, I went to the University of Texas. I had always kind of in my head was just like, I want to be an entrepreneur. That's what I want to do. I had a really blessed situation to be able to go to college and get out debt free. And that's kind of what I was doing there. At the same time, though, in the back of my head, I was always just kind of like, I would much rather be working on business things outside of college. And that's really where I spent the majority of my time in there. I noticed that with the majority of my peers at college, with the exception of maybe like less than a handful, nobody was interested in entrepreneurship whatsoever. And that's really why I saw more outside forces outside of the school environment. It's just pretty interesting, because I even had like somebody that I was friends with come up and tell me, just like, you're the only person that I know that isn't actively recruiting for a job right now. Like, you're literally just working on your own stuff, which is it's interesting. It's hard, but it's also, in that kind of environment, it kind of lets you know that you're not exactly in the right environment as well. You need to be more so going out and seeking people that are entrepreneurs playing and seeking the game. And that's really why Hard Knocks has been such a blessing, because we've been able to go out and meet people that are 10, 20 years ahead of us in the space that we wanted to be in. But definitely just saw that difference from just being at the school, that college just kind of shapes everybody to be stressed about getting an internship and getting a job. And I definitely think that you need to spend time working in your field and working in there and learning from actual people ahead of you. But I definitely think that at the same time, it was just like you could see that difference, where it's just like, for me, I was like, I don't really want to work for anybody, but everybody here just isn't on that same page.
And I'll kind of add on to that, because, I definitely agree with what he's saying, in the sense that, well, I'll say this actually, we typically surround ourselves, despite being in school, in college, we have surrounded ourselves in a circle full of people that are like-minded, that are striving for greatness, whether they're building their own agency, they're doing their own thing in content, e-commerce, doesn't matter what it is. Those are the people that we spend the most of our time with when we're not doing our own work, when we're not in class, whatever it may be. I love this saying that you hang around 5 bums, there's a good chance you're going to be the 6th fucking bum. You hang around 5 multimillionaires, there's a good chance that you're going to be the 6th one. It may take time, it may take a little bit longer for you, but there's a good chance that if you hang around those people, that eventually you will get there. So I would say that, while we have surrounded ourselves with those people, you definitely do see, for the vast majority of our peers that we did go to high school, went to college with, they're ingrained their entire lives. And that's what the school system done, is you go in with this huge imagination, this huge creativity. Kids want to be professional athletes or astronauts or whatever it may be. And by the time, you get out, you're settling to kind of, go work your way up the corporate ladder, and then, fight the urge to be 56 years old and not want to put a shotgun in your mouth. So, that's what it comes down to, honestly. I think for us, though, we traveled the world at a really early age. We went to 20 plus countries. We realized that that's the kind of lifestyle that we wanted to live. You only get one life. We wanted to see the world. We want to do really nice things. We want to retire our parents on the golf course. The only way that you're going to be able to attain that is if you really put in the work and separate yourselves, because you're not going to be able to do that, just maybe working a 6-figure job or something like that. You're going to really have to put the work in and take risks and chances.
It's all about having balls. At the end of the day, that's all it is. Just follow whatever your heart's telling you. Grow a pair, and do what needs to be done in order to get there.
100%. And I just think it's funny about how, because I started mid-college when I dropped out and went against everyone. Everyone was telling me, and everyone was everyone would laugh at you, call you crazy. And everyone thinks it's your little business. I wonder how that's doing. how's everything going with, your passion, right? And everyone would downplay it until you start to see success from it. And then the people they change that narrative from, hey, what you're doing is stupid, to start asking you for advice. And I just think it's really funny how that transition works.
What's even funnier is that people are going to hate too. I guarantee you that the same people that told you wouldn't make it now are talking shit and calling you lucky. How many times have I heard that from guys that I've been to high school with that never changed? They still into drugs. They're still doing the exact same thing we did 25 years ago. Now I'm traveling the country in an RV and I'm just working on me. That's it. My girlfriend doesn't have to work. And I guarantee you they'll never have the balls to tell me that in my face, but I guarantee you that there's a lot of haters out there. And they're always the people that never done shit with their lives. It's never, have you ever heard of a successful person that hates? No, they're too busy making money.
Yeah, exactly.
People only hate on people doing better than them. You never hear somebody like hating on someone that's doing worse than them because they've been in that spot before.
And they don't have the time. Do you have time to go online and start calling people, like just saying, oh, you guys are, no, you're busy.
Yeah, we see it in our comments sometimes, but if anything, we just laugh at it. We don't
answer anymore.
We don't really pay no mind.
Well, like I always say, all engagement is good engagement. If you want to drop a hate comment, that's another plus one on the algorithm.
Just keep it going. Yeah, I think an interesting thing that we could talk about in regards to kind of like a difference in mindset sort of thing is, since we all kind of came from DC, and the reason why I love a place like Austin and compared to a place like, don't get me wrong, DC, really solid place to grow up. I think it was cool to have access to see the United States Capitol like very often. Like could literally go to DC once a month if we wanted to and go check out everything. It was cool to grow up there. Definitely not somewhere I would want to like start my career after being there. And a lot of people from Austin say the same thing about Austin. They live there their whole lives. But the biggest change that we noticed is that DC is very structured. It's very federal jobs, corporate. A lot of people there growing up, they kind of put a cap on their mindset of just kind of like, oh, my epitome of success is I want that 6-figure paycheck, annual salary.
But you're not getting that right out of the gate.
Not right out of the gate.
15 years later.
That's 10 years in if you did good.
Yeah.
But that 2-hour commute to DC, 2-hour commute back if you're still living in the suburbs.
Yeah.
But for them, the epitome of success is that. That's what it looks for. When people try to go outside of that norm, especially in the entrepreneurship realm, because entrepreneurship in DC is like, when I say DC, I'm talking about in the surrounding areas around it. Is really if you want to start like a home interior business or some sort of construction business, which is like, that's the majority of the entrepreneurs that I knew back in the DC area were, at least like when I'd go to like baseball games and stuff, like the really successful guys that would do coaching in their part-time were the guys that like during the day they ran like some sort of interior design or like home interior business or something like that. Construction, because they could scale it for all the homes there. And that was pretty much it. Outside of that, people kind of in that area look at people going outside of the norm, thinking that they're something that they're not. Kind of, they talk a lot of shit, and you can just kind of see it. Which where you come to a place like Austin, it's like I feel like a lot of the people, not talking about UT, I'm more sort of talking about the city of Austin. When you have conversations with them, they're really more so open to saying like, hey, how could we provide value for each other? How could we potentially collaborate? That sort of thing. They're more so excited. They don't really care what you're doing. If anything, they're going to support, you support them back. Whereas in DC, they're just kind of like, it's very just like, oh, like, maybe that'll work out, whatever, or maybe they'll just talk shit about it. I definitely know that like some people, when we started making our content, probably acted that way a little bit too, because our content originally was us making the content for sure.
And that's the funny thing about TikTok as well, is like they'll always promote your content to like your contacts, even if you like don't say to share with your contacts. So you'll always see like your buddy just posted his first vid, you always see it.
But this is the thing though, and the reason why the majority of people that start creating content, they're never able to get over that boundary of worrying about all the people that they know that are going to see it. And because they don't have that digital footprint yet, they don't have the followers, they don't have the views, they'll give up on it because they're so worried about what their peers or what other people think about them. And that is just a detriment. That's the biggest thing that you have to overcome if you really want to make it in content and social media.
But it's in anything. Social media is just, it's in your face. Everybody's on it. So I understand your example, but technically that happens to everything. And what I find the most amazing about especially your friends, your family, they will buy a product from a superstar that they have no idea who the fuck they are. They will spend $500, $1,000 for it. But if you have a product, if you have a service that you offer, they're going to ask you for a discount. See, to me, this is crazy. If I have a friend that's an accountant, if I have a friend that builds houses, if he sells cars, I will go see him. I do not care that it's more expensive. I pay for the relationship.
And you know what? I love that you brought that up, because this is something that I've emphasized with them and with other people that I know. For example, we have a lot of like photographers, videographers that we know in the area. And, you know, a lot of the time, you know, they'll be like, oh, you just have to throw me like $50 or $100. I'll be like, no, what's your price? You know, like, we're going to pay you the price that you're worth. You charge other people. Just because we're friends, I want to support your business. I want to support your hustle. But it's just like you said, everybody's like, hey man, could I get the discount? Could you send me one of those for free? It shouldn't be like that, you know?
It should be the complete opposite. You should encourage the people that you love, the people that you like, but deep down it shows the psychological aspect of it that basically they're hating. I guarantee you that somebody that asks for a discount is jealous of what you're doing. No questions about it. He might not realize it, but I guarantee that's what it is. Why else would he ask for a rebate if it wasn't for the fact that he's envious? Thank you. The silence speaks louder than words sometimes.
I wonder if it's a mindset thing at the end of the day, because I feel like maybe the average consumer doesn't necessarily even understand what really goes into running a business, and they just like, they don't understand like, hey, everything that you have in a business has costs related to it, and I don't know. I just think maybe it might just be a mindset thing of maybe not abundance and growth.
You might have a good point. Maybe I give people too much credit. Maybe people are ignorant.
It's interesting to hear you talk about, like you have this line when you talk about like another reason why you bowed out of college, as well as like a similar reason why we just aren't huge fans of it as well. It's just because it's just like the majority of people going through college, especially if they take business classes, they're never actually learning from people that ever ran a business. It's usually most of the time people that just had a really long corporate career and they worked for business owners, or they just were an executive. And so that therefore they're teaching them business skills to become a corporate employee. Where it's just like, that was like one of your biggest discrepancies, and definitely one that we had, where it's like, I would go and spend my like we've talked before, I used to work for the owner of Buc-ee's gas station, local gas station here in Texas. And pretty much there were times where I skipped class to just go get more hours in learning from him, because that's primarily, yes, they were hiring me to do work, but the majority of the deal as to why I inevitably went to go choose them as a company that I'd give a lot of my time to was because of that relationship of being able to shadow that CEO.
You were seeing his negotiations, you know, being in on
his meetings pretty much. And that type of tight group right there, just be able to sit and listen and do that was way more valuable as like a big business owner versus anything going on in class. And that's some of the things. And this kind of feeds into the reason why I went down this tangent is kind of feeding into that mindset of just like why people they don't really know what it takes to like run a business.
No, yeah. So this is the semester where I dropped out, and I was in a business and entrepreneurship class, and I will never forget, the guy had, like, when I was talking to him, I just like talking to him after class, talking about like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I just started this a couple months ago. Here's how it's going. And he's never started a business before. And I'm like, you're teaching a business and entrepreneurship class, and you've never owned a business before. How are you going to teach me anything? Like, why does anything you say have any value?
There's an expression, I cannot remember what it is, so I'm going to check it, but it's something along the lines that doers do, and those who can't, no, this is what it is. Those who can do, those who can't teach. School people are going to love me on that one, but it's still true, because look at the education system. This is, my girlfriend and I want to have kids. We're both older than the average people having kids, although a lot of successful people that I've met told me that the number one thing that they did that they were the proudest is to have kids later on in life.
Hey, I'll tell you right now, our dad had us at 40 and 42. So it's never necessarily too late, you know.
No, but not only that, the only thing that sucks is my kids won't have your eyes. Just messing. But it shows. It shows that I used to train. I taught martial arts for years, and one of the guys I used to teach was a lawyer. He had his own practice in around Toronto in Canada. Extremely successful, super cool dude. But he was saying that when he got his first son, he was in his 20s, had to hustle 2-3 jobs. It sucked. Like it was hard to raise him. But as he had the son, he went back to school, became a lawyer, and started working. And yeah, now he has his practice, and he has 2 other sons. He was probably back then, it's probably 6 or 7 years ago, but back then he was early 40s, mid 40s. He had a wife that was obviously younger than him, but he had 2 kids that are like 6 and 7 years old. He's mid 40s. He's laughing because he's filthy rich. He don't have to work the hours that he works as much as he wants to, because he's able to take himself out of the business and just sit back and direct from afar. And he spends all of his time with his kids.
Yeah, I always love when and I know you definitely agree with this hands down too, when you always say that every young man needs to learn how to defend themselves.
100%. That is one. There's not a lot of things that young men need to learn, but this is definitely one of them. And it's so much more than just defending yourself. It's learning to fail. Like you do a Brazilian jiu-jitsu class, you will get tapped 15 times, 20 times within an hour. And then you turn around, it's this skinny pothead fucking hippie. And he's just like, want to go again? There's no ego. He's not trying to hurt you. And all you have to do is tap, tap. And the guy lets go. He laughs. Everybody's happy. He'll show you what the hell happened. Maybe next time don't do this and do this instead. But your ego is going to get in checked. Like I've had the chance to spar with world champions.
Wow.
And some of the guys, I was never professional, but I fought as an amateur. And every Saturday we had one of the old Muay Thai world champion. He was the best on the planet. And he would just teach us how to passion.
There's a podcaster, you might know his name's Lex Fridman. Have you seen his stuff at all?
No.
Lex Fridman. So he got his PhD at MIT, brilliant guy. I don't know what his PhD is, but he does artificial intelligence research there, but he does podcasts with some of the biggest entrepreneurs, scientists and stuff. I think you'd really enjoy his podcast. But basically, there's a video of him, and he's doing jiu-jitsu, and he basically is giving a speech to the people in the group that he's doing with. He says, now, you all know my background. I've learned more about the mind on these mats than any class or any research study that I've ever done at MIT. It's a beautiful clip, what he's basically saying of like just from the mentally what you learn about people from that sort of space. And I personally don't have any experience with martial arts other than when I was like super little.
So last year or the year before that? You said when you were little. There you go.
No, I mean we grew up in Korea, so they do the taekwondo classes, the black belt and everything. But it's
the one thing that I will add, and the reason why I always emphasize that to people, and I know that you have a history in martial arts, and I love that, and that you teach people. And the reason why I always emphasize it to people is because, so many people, they see as combat sports, whether it's boxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, as just, oh, it's violent, it's dangerous, but it teaches you, it's way more than that. It's so good, I think, for your mental health. It teaches you how to fight someone better than you under pressure. It humbles you. It's the humble factor. All these kids that they go out of their way looking for fights in bars or in street fights and all that, you take that person to a boxing gym, they'll learn what real discipline is. And it teaches you that you never go out of your way looking to start some shit like that. It should always be the last resort, but you should always know and be ready to defend yourself and your family. And, I couldn't agree more. I'm the biggest advocate. I think everyone, find something that you enjoy. For me, it was boxing. I did a few jiu-jitsu classes, tried wrestling, but I really fell in love with striking, in particular, just the art of boxing. I love how every fighter has their own craft. Everybody thinks it's about punching. Boxing is so much more than that. If anything, it's angles and footwork.
Yep.
That's what defines the champions. It's way more than just how to, technique is important, but it's way more than just speed and power. It's so much more to it. And that's what I love about it. It's the sweet science.
I cannot start to say the impact that martial art has on me. Like it's been more than 20 years now, and you said it, discipline, you learn how to fail. It's, one of the things that nobody ever speaks about. I've had quite a few women over my posts, because I post a lot of content about men, right? And I've had some mothers approach me. They're like, I'm a single mother, the father's not present for whatever reason. What should I do? I don't have any male influence. Find a martial art gym. Most of the martial art coach are ex-fighters, ex-military. They're very intelligent people. There are great male influences. So if you're listening right now and you are a single mother, you don't have a strong male figure in your son's life, go to a martial art gym. Find a good instructor, and I guarantee you that you will see your kid change for the better in so many ways that you won't even, it won't compute.
Yeah, and I'll just add on to that. They really take you in. If you find a good gym, they'll embrace you. They'll make sure that you're taken care of. And even for women out there, I've seen firsthand people that they've never fought before. They just want to learn how to defend themselves. And you get with a good coach and a good trainer, they will work with you. To really, they're not going to put you in a ring and beat you up or beat your kid up. But like, if you find a good gym, they will work with you and they will really toughen you and really teach you kind of like the arts, at least instill the basics in you, so that way you can only grow.
It's everything to me. Martial arts / fighting is a direct representation of life. You want to know what you're made of? Step in a ring. There's no bullshit. There's no faking. There's no denying the end result. You'll have the answer right then and there. What are you made of?
I'll tell you this right now, because this is something funny that I was watching on a podcast the other day. They were talking about. It'd say, you never see, when someone gets, or let me rephrase that. If you get your ass beat in a basketball game, right?
Yeah.
And the person who loses badly, but he challenges the person who beat him to a fight.
Yeah.
That's a legitimate thing. You never see someone get their ass beat in a fight and be like, but you can't beat me in basketball.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? The true testament of the true testament of the man is like whether or not like you can really beat someone's ass in a fight. And granted, it's like there's a lot that comes into it, because it's the weight and everything and experience, and there's people that have been training 20 years longer than you that but just in general though, I really love that. I love that quote because it's true. You can get your ass beat in basketball and someone could rub him in, but it's like, okay, but you're gonna fight me. But it's like, you're not gonna lose a fight and be like, okay, it's time for basketball now,
How many times in the corporate world have I thought that? You got a VP, you got a CEO that's cocky as fuck, that think he's all that, and I'm just looking at him, I'm like, you're my bitch, right? if I really wanted to hurt you, I will make you look stupid.
If you put us in the alley.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I'll do it right here in front of everybody. That's a bit better. But
I'm curious for you, though. You mentioned that fighting was one of the non-negotiables that all young men should learn. What else do you feel like all young men should learn almost immediately?
It has to start there. To me, so there's, I used to do a podcast. It's in French, unfortunately, but I used to do a podcast with my best friend. He's an historian. So he's from France, but he has a background in history. And he's a very well-read, very, very, very intelligent. Like, I don't know if you guys know, the education system in France is a lot better than here. It's a lot more traditional. They learn about real philosophy. They learn about Marcus Aurelius. They learn about the great philosophers, the Stoic philosophers of this world. So their mindset is a bit different. Like they know a lot more about life and what happened in the past. But one of the things that we talked about a lot, and I have a lot of friends that are military. I spoke about it on another podcast yesterday. I believe that young men should serve. So when they graduate from high school, there should be a 2-year period where the first 6 months you're doing boot camp. This is non-negotiable. During that first 6 months, you will learn what it takes to be military. So you will learn how to handle a gun. You will know how to handle a knife, how to defend yourself in hand-to-hand combat. This is the obvious portion, but one of the portions that people don't understand in martial art and competitive basketball have taught me that too is what it is to be part of a unit. what it is to depend on others and have others depend on you, what it is to respect order. So somebody tells you what to do, you shut the fuck up and you just do it. Because there's no time to talk, there's no time to think. That person is in power for a specific reason. So you listen. So you need to be coachable. As a young man, you need to be coachable. You need to know how to fail. You need to know who your teammates are. You called it mastermind, call it teammate, call it whatever you want, but there's no difference. What's the difference between a military unit and a business mastermind? The context in which they operate. But the idea behind it is the exact same. There's no difference at all. And so first 6 months, it's mandatory for you to do boot camp. If you want to continue for 2 years, perfect. Go for it. That's awesome. You'll learn a lot more. But if you just want to do something, the next year and a half should be spent doing public works. You could deliver mail, you could pick up garbage, you could clean the streets, you could work in an office where you at the DMV, whatever it is, you need to serve your community. Because people are always, look at what's going on right now in the US or in Canada. Everybody's looking to the presidents. They look to the prime minister in Canada, they look at Biden in the US, and they believe that their way of life is decided at that level. They're so far off from the reality that who really matters is who your mayor is. Who really matters is who is on the board of your school board, where your kids go. Who's dealing with this? Who's the mayor of your area? It's the people locally that matters. They are the people that will impact your life. The president has no power when it comes to the community. It's so far disconnected from the top, but people don't realize that. We're so polarized by the top. So I think that spending a year and a half, 2 years altogether, serving your community, doing something for the people that are there. Maybe you shadow a police officer, maybe you shadow a fireman, maybe you, whatever it might be, just learn to give back. And once that happens, now you can continue your studies if you choose to go to college, if you choose to go to university. But you shouldn't be, why do you deserve higher learning if you have not provided for your community?
I think it's pretty interesting, especially just because you definitely see, for us, we had those influences growing up, and to be able to, whether it was like our dad or Scoutmaster or whatever, had that sort of discipline ingrained in you, the team building, the humility, how to be able to just respect the leader on a team when it's time for you to be the leader on the team, what that means. That really, like, when you're the leader on a team, you serve the people on the team. You're not the you're not tyrannical. It's not the you show. It's you're there to serve your team, as well as, like, I think that all three of us have done some sort of service industry work, like just kind of seeing that side of life. It's just basically going through the drive-through and, treating a worker like absolute crap. Like, I'll never do that a day in my life.
You can always tell if someone's worked at a restaurant or if they haven't worked at a restaurant if you go out to eat with them.
And I would go even further than that. You can always judge someone by the way they treat as what we call help. So the people washing your floors in the building that you live, the people that are serving you, you can tell a lot by somebody's character by the way they treat them.
Treat the janitor the same way you treat the CEO. Goes a long way.
And that's a fundamental thing. We've talked to a lot of, for example, a guy that we had recently interviewed. He's been in commercial real estate the last 25 years, and I was asking him kind of like his best advice for people wanting to start a business, and he said, you got to be able to have conversations with the CEO just like you would with the janitor, being able to talk to everybody, and treat them the same way that, you'd want to be treated. If you want respect from people, they want it back.
It's funny you say that, because this brings me, I wanted to thank you guys, because when the interview you did with me, I've always wanted to do interviews, like to just go around. I have so much opinion on everything that I just want to go out. And since we've done it, I spend 2 days, I probably spend 4 hours just walking around Austin and talking to people. We don't talk about the same subjects, but I just wanted to thank you guys because it's a beautiful thing to be able to address anybody. It does not matter. And one of the first interviews I did was a group of young men, and you could tell they were all related. They've known each other for a long time. Like, it's similar to you guys. There were like 4 guys, and it turns out that they were all in family. There were like 12 of them. So they were the kids. Then they had 2 brothers similar to you guys, and then the father arrived, and then the family arrived. And I had asked them, I'm like, okay, can I ask you some questions? And all I asked is, what's your definition of a good man? What's your definition of a good woman? And what's one thing you wish your father taught you? Turns out that his father was right there. So I got to speak to the younger brother, to the older brother, and the father showed up, and he gave me his opinion as to what it is. And you can tell right away where they were made. Why do they think a certain way? The father proved it. They didn't pick that up on the internet. They were super respectful, super nice. They all had the same crazy eyes too, now that I think about it. It's not even a joke. It's not that I'm coming back on this, but I have the videos to prove it. But it's amazing that you can see directly where it comes from. You guys are proof. Those guys are proof. But I wanted to take the time to thank you guys, because I had forgotten to do that.
Hey man, we love connecting with people, and we're pleased that the interview did so well. I don't know if you saw, but it's well over 100,000 views on TikTok. I think a couple 100,000 views on Facebook, and Instagram's probably about to hit 100,000 in the next few days. So we're just super happy that it performed well, and that honestly the message that you delivered in the interview, I think I'm so glad that a lot of people are hearing. It's unique. A lot of people don't have, first of all, the courage to come out, say something like that. But I'm happy that it found its way to the masses, that the algorithm picked it up, and that it performed so well. And the feedback that we've gotten on it has been amazing. You've had a few people that have, but it's,
whatever.
What do we say?
That's the biggest thing with social media, though. It's like a lot of times with content creators that they get into a bind when not everybody agrees, or there's negative comments and things like that. It's just you can't make everybody happy. You just can't. And that shouldn't be the goal in the first place.
Well, the thing is, though, I do like to interact with the people that are hating. There's one yesterday, I posted a video that just says, it's a podcast similar to what we're doing right now. And all I was saying is, a woman cannot teach a woman cannot teach a boy how to be a man. In the same way that I, as a man, cannot teach a girl to become a woman. I can show them what a real man is. And my mother, let's take my example, can show me what a real woman is. But they cannot show me how to become a man. The mother, there's a mother, like I have probably 150 comments on that one, and there's a few that are outliers, but whatever the fuck, I don't care. But I like to engage them. So she says, I raised my son alone without any father figure, and he's such a great man. I'm like, okay, so if that's indeed the case, I will assume that what you're saying is real. He got influences, a bit like you were saying earlier, from outside sources. She completely denies it, and instead of engaging again, she's like, you know what, my son is way more of a man than you'll ever be. No, but that's okay. I love that, because she doesn't understand who she's dealing with. I enjoy. You can ask Josie. I fucking live for this shit. You engage me like that, I'm like, thank you. Now you allow me. How many times have I told people, oh, thank you, you're helping me with the algorithm with 2 thumbs up. Oh, they fucking hate that shit. But then haters to me,
they don't even realize that they're doing it,
No, they don't. So I will tell them that they're doing it, and then I'll debate them, because you're giving me a perfect platform to show my opinions. You're literally helping me talk about something that I didn't think about. So I'm like, thank you, because I will reuse that, create a video, create so much thing. But basically when she told me that her son I will never be close to be as good man as he is, I'm like, just the fact that you had to debate and make a point out of saying that shows me how fearful you are as a parent of not having done a good job, and how doubtful you are that your son is indeed that great. Because if he was, you would need to prove it to people. I don't need to tell people I'm a great man. I fucking know I am. So I love engaging with those people there, and they never answer me back. After those, I hope they smash their phone. No, I'm just kidding. But they never get back to me. Yeah. But you guys don't engage anymore. Eh? There's too many comments, or you just...
Depends.
It really depends. We put out such a volume of content that we respond to a lot of our DMs, but it's something that, honestly, I think it is important, the community management, responding to people that reply. And so
we need to respond to more comments.
We do, absolutely.
Just get better at it.
Because the videos on TikTok, I responded to every single comment. Every single one of them, I will engage them.
I would say, like, there's been a couple of videos where even the negative comments, basically, even with our main account, I would just like drop like, oh, they're just like, they're going on about the person's advice, like they don't agree with it. So I'll take the main account and I'll just comment back, what's your advice?
Exactly.
How would you answer this question then? Let's see what you have to say to the question, and then we'll see whether or not we should be listening to you as well. It's interesting.
There's there's three. It's what you're saying is absolutely right, and people like to complain. But there's three type of people you're gonna meet when it comes to that. You have people that discuss entertainment. You have people that discuss issues, and then you have the third type of people that find solutions. Those are the only three types of people you're gonna meet. And unfortunately, it's not split 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Like 90% of people fit category 1, maybe another 9 category 2, and there's only a very small percentage of people that find problems. And I've said it so many times, exactly like you said it. Okay, you know what? You're not happy about something. You're allowed to. Awesome. What the fuck are you going to do about it? Because right now you're just complaining. You're not doing anything except blah, 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 complain about a problem. Everybody can complain, but what's your fucking solution?
I think it comes back to when you're talking about the boot camp, right? The number one word that I didn't get a chance to say it earlier, number one word that came to my mind that I think that would fix that kind of mandatory boot camp is entitlement.
Oh,
I think that
yes.
I think that just the concept of like our generation, whether whatever like profession you want to go into, I think that there's the younger and younger it's getting, there's people that are a lot more entitled. And I think what boot camp, like a boot camp type thing, or just some sort of discipline being enforced or encouraged, or just like trying to get people to go through, would remove entitlement, because you learn the humility and you realize that you don't have all the answers.
And people don't owe you shit.
People don't owe you shit, and life does not revolve around you.
So let me ask you this. Is that why you never did martial art?
No, I'd be down. I'm still to this day down to get started and get into it. I just have never taken the chance.
He knows whenever he's ready to come to the boxing gym, I've
had some head injuries, but like, I mean, other than that, like definitely just from some mental.
But you don't need to spar that hard, though. See, that's a good point. I like what you're saying, because Dana White, hate him or love him, he was saying the other day, he was watching at old fighters still sparring with their guys. And he's like, hey, guys, you're 40. What the fuck are you guys doing sparring? Why are you sparring? Is that an ego thing? You're getting hit in the head. What the fuck are you guys doing? You need to start using your head and not use it as a fucking air. Like, it's not meant. You're not meant to be hit.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is one thing that I don't like about a lot of gyms. They go hard, and they go hard to the head.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Don't. You can't. You cannot. You only have one head, and there's only a magic amount of hits you can. There's a magic number somewhere, and you don't know what it is. It could be 10. It could be. I've seen a guy like Mark Hunt. Do you know that guy?
The heavyweight.
Yeah, he's heavyweight. Yes. He fought kickboxing, MMA. The dude is a Samoan.
Yeah.
He's like 6'2", 300 something pounds. He's eaten some of the strongest head kick in the face, and he's just like, okay, let's go. He's still going. Now his chin's gone. It's literally, he went from getting hit in the face with a baseball bat and laughing to just one strong hit, and he buckles.
Got a glass chin now. Yeah.
So what do you think that does? There's a guy called Gary Goodridge. Used to fight in the beginning of the UFC, and he's from, he goes often in Montreal, where I'm from, and I've seen him when I was coaching amateur guys, and he showed up. Fuck, I felt bad, because he's taken so much damage that today you can tell he's not there anymore. Look at a Muhammad Ali. He died of Parkinson. You think that Parkinson didn't come from the hits that he got? And he was the one doing most of the damage. He was the champion. He's not the one that was getting knocked out left and right, but he still had a lot of damage. So if you're looking for martial art gyms, look at how they spar, because that's dangerous. You only have one head, and if you want to use it,
and sometimes it only takes one shot.
Yep.
One shot can just change your life. It happens. Some people have died in the ring. It's more and more common in today's day. So people are hitting harder. You know, there's the controversy behind gloves and whatnot, but I completely agree with you. I even personally had cut back like the sparring that I was doing, and just because again, like most gyms too, when they spar, a lot of them don't say it's a lot. A lot of gyms, they focus less on fundamentals, and when you go, you know, and it turns into, you know, a full-on fight, you know.
There's one of the guys that used to train us, a world champion, spent probably 10, 15 years in Thailand. And in Thailand, they don't train with a lot of equipment. They train with no glove. Like they'll have gloves, but most of the time, because of the clinching, you can't really clinch properly. So they don't have any gloves, but they still kick, knee, elbow, and punch each other. But you can't hit hard. So they tippy tap. They just tap, 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 tap. Those guys are 25 years old. They have 300 fights. Like, calculate it all you want. That means they're fighting every single week or every 2 weeks. If they don't fight, they don't eat. So those guys have to be healthy all the time. You think they're going to get injured in sparring? No. If you fought 300 times, you think you're learning that much more in sparring? No, you're just staying fit. So we used to train with that guy with no gloves, no shin pads, no nothing. Because you have to control every single hit, and it's just tap, tap. If I made contact with you, the fact that I did it 100% or I did it 5%, does it really matter? You know you fucked up. You should have blocked. You should have bobbed. You should have weaved. You should have done something, and you didn't. You learned your lesson no matter what. But there, again, it comes down to the ego. People want, oh, you hit me. Okay, so I'm going to go hard. Direct representation of life. Somebody says something you don't like, you're going to go hard instead of saying, you know what, maybe he's right. And to go back, you asked me earlier, what's a great skill a young man should have? That exactly. Being able to take criticism, like good criticism, not haters, but somebody that wants to help you.
And do you feel like someone can only learn that when they get challenged by someone? Like, I feel like a lot of people they will have strong opinions about things, but because they're so aggressive in their manner, they don't actually ever have anyone to actually challenge them and tell them, hey, like what you're saying here isn't necessarily correct. How do you kind of feel about that?
Well, I think there's two things about what you're saying. One, there's the Mike Tyson saying that says that now people have grown because of social media. People are so used to being disrespectful to people without getting punished for it, without physically getting beat up. So that's one of the problems.
People forget they can get punched in the mouth.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. And when you consider that I would say 99% of people have never fought. Have you ever got in a real fight?
When I was younger, like middle school.
But I mean, as a man.
As a
have
man,
you ever been?
No.
I can tell you that
post 18.
If you and I got in a fight and you felt, I'm not a young man, I'm a man. I'm a lot stronger than a guy that's 20 years old. So, and imagine the type of damage that I could do to you, you'll fucking learn. But at the same time, that's the physical portion, but there's also the psychological portion that's attached to it. I was telling you guys a story that happened today, like that we've been dealing with over the past 4 or 5 days. Long story short, I want to help. I'm somebody that I'm very opinionated. I say a lot of things that people don't like, but at the end of the day, I will say this with the utmost humbleness, if that exists in me. I am a great man. I do want to help people. I've been burned so many times trying to help people, but I continue doing it. I can't stop myself. I cannot stop from helping people. And I had to rip into him today. So the guy ended up living with us because he had nowhere to go. My girlfriend and I could not live with that on our conscience. We're like, it's not acceptable that somebody lives in his car. So what can we do? We live in an RV. We had no privacy. We had nothing. We ended up taking care of his dog the whole time he was there. But we felt that we had to do something. We learned some things that don't need to be repeated. But point being is, I had to tell him how it was today. I had to be that guy that told him that his actions, the way he was living, is not right. There's something that needs to give, but he's not ready to listen. Like, he literally picked up his stuff and he left. And thinking back now, it's only been a couple hours since that happened. The thing that I realize is he needs to hit rock bottom. And Josie and I saved him from rock bottom. Now he's tasting it. But I also said at the end, because I kicked him out, I'm like, bro, you can't continue this way. I'm not going to encourage your behavior. If you want to help, I will be there to help you. I will show you where you can go get help, and I'll be there for you if you need someone. But I'm like, if you're going to continue doing what you're doing, and he did, he doesn't want to get help. I'm like, bro, you need to leave. I can't encourage that. I can't have that against my girlfriend. What's telling me that one day you're not going to be violent with her and I'm not around? But I also told him when I kicked him out, I'm like, if you change your mind, I'm still in Austin for 3 weeks. If you change your mind, bro, you have my number, call me. There's no shame. There's no shame about you being wrong. But now I know it's hurting because he was crying. And he's a big boy. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. He's 20 years old. He's a big boy. And I know it hurt. That one hurt him. But I had to tell him because nobody else will. And if that came from his father, would he have listened because it's his father? Maybe, maybe not. I don't think so. But it came from somebody that wanted to help him.
How do you feel like people should approach these tough conversations that you feel like you have to have with someone because no one else will?
I think you said it right there. Just be the person. You know, there's such a thing as leading by example. If you wish to see the world become better, become better. It's really that simple. If somebody needs to hear the hard truth and they have nobody around them to tell them, be that person. If you wish somebody would have told you that, be that person. I've been a help. You know, the reason I wanted to help this guy is because there's a few people in my life that helped me. There's a few people that saw something in me that I didn't know was there. I didn't realize it, but they saw potential. You know, when you're older, it's like I was telling you guys after the first time we really spoke, you guys are going to go wherever the fuck you want to go. I have no doubt in my mind that your future is so fucking bright. You can tell. I can see the potential in you guys. But I see that potential in most people. And I'm the type to call it. I will tell you, I'm like, man, if you only stop being a bitch, you could do whatever it is that you want to do. No questions about it. But can you really help someone that doesn't want to help themselves? No. But if you want to help people, help people. If you wish you had help when you were young, help people. What am I doing? I wish my father stuck around and taught me what it was to be a man, that I didn't have to learn it by myself. What do I do now? I want to help men that didn't have a father know what it is to be a man. It's funny how that works, right?
Yeah, very funny.
But this is life. Life is not complicated. We overcomplicate everything because look at our society now. We're so siloed. Like we have, everything's over specialized. Everybody is always about, I need to specialize in this, I need to specialize. And that's what school does. They teach you something, then there's an extra class and an extra class and an extra class and an extra class and an extra class. You're always dedicating to becoming more specialized. But that means that you're forgetting everything else that has nothing to do with your field. There's no jack of all trades anymore. I'm a jack of all trade. I don't have any specialty in anything. I've never been the best fighter. I've never been the best philosopher. I'll probably never be the best coach. I'll never be the best at anything because I don't care to be the best at anything. All I want is to know as much as I can about all fucking subject, have an holistic view and say, you know what? I see how psychology has to do with sales. I see how sales is just interaction with people. If you don't have interaction with people, society doesn't work. So sales taught me how to be a better human being and how to understand the people I interact with. I'm not trying to sell them anything, but see how everything, if you learn to step back, you start seeing that everything is interconnected. And I feel this is what is missing. So that's another thing that young men should know. To stop over specializing on everything and just start to dabble. You find something that's in. Josie always is amazed at the number of things that I try. I probably tried 20 different ventures in the past 2 years. I like to say that I throw shit at a wall and I see what sticks. But how the fuck am I not supposed? How will I know if I love something if I don't try it? Yeah. I don't care. Oh, it doesn't work? Okay, cool. Lost some time, lost a bit of money. but I know I didn't like it. But I guarantee you that if I sit down and look at what I've learned, it's applicable to everything else.
It's crazy that people have all these passions and things that they'd love to try, but never actually have the courage to actually step out of the comfort zone and actually just try it and just go for it.
This is the biggest problem. There's two group of men I want to help. I want to help like 14 to 28, and I want to help 28 to 45. Because when you are at that age, when you're my age, I'm 40 years old. I've done the corporate world for almost 20 years. But it was always in the mindset that something else was coming. I always knew. Like, I ended up in sales, and it's developed my skills that I'm doing right now. I've recorded about 150 podcasts over the past couple of years. I went from never recording a podcast to just buying gear, learning how it works, to recording 150 of them. Why? Because I spoke to fucking people I didn't know on a daily basis, and I tried to take money out of their pocket and put it in mine. You think this is hard? You think it's hard to talk in a microphone?
Sales will teach you a lot about people, and it'll teach you a lot about yourself as well.
It's the number one thing that people should all strive to learn is how to sell, how to interact. For the people that are out there, buy a book that's called Just Listen. It's written by, can't remember the name of the guy, but he is a psychiatrist, and he trains the FBI hostage negotiators. So the people that needs to interact with somebody holding a gun to somebody else. The whole point is to create rapport, is to have the person see. Because let me ask you a question. Why do you think you like him?
Similar values.
Absolutely. No doubt about that. But go further.
Oh, just keep going.
Yep.
I mean, definitely we come from a similar background.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, I mean, have common interests, get along, do things, have fun. Yeah.
The reason you like him is because you see yourself in him. It's that simple.
It's commonalities.
100%. But you're so selfish deep down that you like him because he reminds you of you.
Yeah, when I think about it like that, it is true, and I just think about
common traits and interests. You know, people usually tend to go towards things that they agree with, or that's why most people, whether they watch Fox or CNN all day, they're never gonna turn it off and go to the other one because they don't like to hear the things that they don't want to hear. They only like to just sit and be told what they want to hear all day.
And this is again, I'm going to continue adding to the list of what a young man should know. A young man should learn. There's one thing I learned in college. One thing that I remember from college: critical thinking. Question everything. I don't care who you are. I'm not saying I'm going to doubt you, but I will research what you said, and I will form my own opinion. Normally, I sit somewhere in the middle. I'm not on the left, I'm not on the right, I'm normally somewhere bang in the middle. But this is another thing we don't do anymore, is take people's opinion. As you said, listen to both sides. There's so many people that say you shouldn't have freedom of speech. I believe in freedom of speech. I want the next Hitler to have the biggest platform on the planet so that people can identify him from the get-go. Give him all the microphones that he can handle. He will hang himself with what he has to say. Why would you try to censor him, to drive him underground so that other ridiculous people like him will follow him and he will build a following without people even knowing? Instead, give him the platform. I want to speak to anybody. You're considered a racist, you're considered a fascist, you're considered this, you're considered that. Give him the platform. Let him hang himself. But again, critical thinking. Listen to those people. It's not because you don't fucking agree with them that you shouldn't listen to them. On the contrary, you're either going to learn something or it's going to confirm your belief that you already have. Either way, it's a win-win solution. You have nothing to lose from listening to all the opinions that are out there and learning to forge your own.
Challenge yourself. It only challenges you. If anything, it strengthens your beliefs and your values. Yep. It strengthens the things that you believe in. Because like he was saying, he brought up, the people that maybe they watch CNN all day, they watch Fox all day, but actually go and have a good conversation with someone on the other side and actually strengthen your viewpoints and your opinions off that conversation, but be open-minded about it. Go into conversations open-minded that you want someone to change your mind. Granted, they may not, but it ultimately, it sharpens your beliefs, your thoughts, your values. So I completely agree in the sense that
I think you're going to see a world, especially when we're talking younger people and the entitlement thing, is they don't want to be challenged because they think that everything that they know already is what they know. I think an interesting thing to add to your question that you brought up earlier, like what something that young men should know, and I think it's just not talked about enough at all, is how to be able to kind of control, analyze, understand, and reevaluate your brain chemistry. And
Jesus Christ, hold on. Say, I want to remix. Say that again.
Control, analyze, rework, reshape, being able to understand your brain chemistry, mainly meaning because of the society we live in today, has everybody is glued to their phones. There's kids that are on their phone for 15, 16 hours a day, 10 hours a day. It's ridiculous, but all that affects is dopamine. It's the dopamine in the brain levels it raises. And so
as you're saying that, I'm going to hide my phone.
it's like especially at this younger age in this technology society, there's all these the social media platforms, the iPhone games, all of it is surrounded about inducing dopamine in the brain to spark and go off. So just from a young age, the developing brain is now having this dopamine tolerance that is just super high. So that means that it's like, in order to actually really, from the survival instincts, the way a man or woman, whatever they created dopamine sparks in their head is when they accomplished something that was hard work. Like the hunter-gatherers, right? They hunted an animal, whatever, killed it. That sparked dopamine, having to create a survival structure, putting that final peg in all. That's obviously a long time ago. I'm saying in today's world, though, there's just so many, especially if we want to just talk about young men, right? They're so influenced by social media or like iPhone games, or just they don't build up enough. Their dopamine tolerance is so high, they don't actually get any natural reward from doing hard work. So that why they're just like, oh, I don't want to do that. They're not even going to challenge themselves.
It's even more than that. There's a bit of misconception in what you said, because it is not reward for achieving something. Dopamine is released when you're trying something new. When you're trying to test something, you're going to achieve something, but it's not even the achievement that gives it to you. Like the best example is porn. Porn is the perfect example of dopamine.
We're going to go down this rabbit hole. I could talk about this for hours.
Man, you opened that door and I just...
That's the biggest...
I knew it was coming.
That was when you want to talk about what causes so many dopamine issues in younger people. Let's just stay on just young men. Young men today.
But it is a bigger young men problem.
It's worse than drugs. It's worse
from starting like middle school age up. It's like nobody likes to talk about it, but it's just like it's the.
I wanted to say too real quick, because I saw a recent clip that you had put out about the one guy that was talking about how 4 in 10 men are addicted. It is way more than that, my friend.
Yep.
It's like you said, the people that won't admit to it because they're so ashamed of it, which they should be. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's a reason why it's free.
Yeah,
because and we don't need to stay on this topic for too long.
I'll say one more thing. Hold on, I'll say one more thing.
But I think we should.
I could talk about this.
So let's.
I'll say one more thing. It's funny because we do have this conversation a lot, because I'll say this first of all: porn is destroying families. It's destroying the young men.
Yes.
Just as far as like men that are trying to find a significant other, and just in general, it's killing their confidence, everything. But I heard this recently. This was the biggest thing that stood out to me. And I don't, by all means, I don't care about like your religion or whatnot, but the average man visits his favorite porn websites more than he does his local church or his local mosque, which is, it's kind of, it's shocking, so.
Is it shocking?
No, not at all.
Oh, no.
Because that I don't remember in which war, but they used porn. Porn was used as a weapon. It's before Google, it's before social media, but they would drop pamphlets of naked women, and that demoralized men because they started masturbating so much. No, but seriously, you masturbate so much that they're not motivated to do anything else than to masturbate. It's literally a weapon of war, and we don't even question it today. it's not even a question. People are almost proud to say that they watch porn. And to me, that's fucking ludicrous. Are you serious? Like, I could take my cell phone out right now and go on Pornhub and just scroll for 10 minutes. I will have seen more naked women than a man would have seen in a lifetime 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. Think about this. And we wonder why we are in a society where we are always looking for the next best thing. Look at Tinder. Tinder works the exact same way. People are in relationships and they still have Tinder installed on their phones because they're looking for the next best thing. But porn is the perfect example. Like, talk about destroying a young man's life, addict him to porn.
Well, you just think about the ease of use to get to it. 20 years ago.
Listen, hold on. Yeah, literally 15 seconds.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you'd have to go to a movie theater or like a Blockbuster,
Yep.
go to the adult aisle, and then actually like find the video, and then that's in person too, so it's a little bit humiliating as well.
That's a good
Versus
point.
now, you can just go on your phone in your bedroom or your bathroom and do that, and there's no self humiliation because it's just you. Versus you'd actually go in public, go in the private aisle, whole 9 yards, and
You were looked as a pervert.
I believe it takes the soul out of a man. That's what I feel that it's like in order of doing that, basically your dopamine level spikes up. You didn't do anything to earn that release. Pretty much, it's artificial. Just the reward is completely artificial.
One of the, because we talk about this, and because it's like, what is a man? Like, the complex of a man at the end of the day, it's that hunter gatherer. It's that you're supposed to, again, dopamine, whether it's porn or in this case, like getting the nut off, it's like you're supposed to like actually work for that nut. You know what I mean? And like you said, you are showing, you're just allowing it to happen. It's like you did nothing for that. You know what I mean? So it's like, but what that teaches you is that, okay, I'm not going to go approach a woman. I'm not going to talk to this pretty girl at the coffee shop. I'm not going to go up to this cute girl in the gym because, I'm just going to go home and a lot of guys have the mindset
you don't have enough built up like want or confidence to go and do that, because it's just like, why would I have to go work hard to get that interaction when I can literally just go home and, all right, boom, all right, now you're depleted. Now you want to sleep. You don't want to work hard the rest of the day. Your dopamine levels are shot. You have no depleting the energy, and as well as just like your reward system's all thrown off, because nothing else that you're going to do for the rest of the day is going to be able to actually compare to that.
I think we talked about this last time, you and I, about Think and Grow Rich. The 11th chapter, if I remember correctly, he speaks about that. And as you were speaking, it reminded me, I think you guys are too young for Seinfeld, but I don't know if you guys ever watched that series.
I've seen it. I haven't seen all the episodes, but I've seen Seinfeld.
I've seen them 10 times, every single one, and there's 10 fucking seasons, but they're brilliant when you look at the stories behind it. And one of the, George Costanza, the big idiot, one point he renounced women. He's like, fuck it, no more. I will stop seeing women. He stops masturbating. He becomes super intelligent. He literally does not care for sex anymore. He is like laser focused on attaining his goals. And this is it. They made it as a joke, and this is one of the, to me, comedy is the purest form of truth. Even jesters, did we talk about that last time? You know what a jester is, right? Do you know that when kings ruled the world, jesters were the only one that were allowed to make fun of the king, and the king hired them. They chose jesters to make fun of them in order to speak the truth. Because look at great comedians. Look at a George Carlin. Look at a Dave Chappelle. Look at Schultz. Fucking love Schultz. They talk about subject that you're like, eeh, but they make a joke out of it. But then you're like, ha ha ha. What? What the fuck did you just say there? But this is the beauty about humor, is approaching it in a way where You're saying something, but you're not really saying it, but you are saying it. It's gotta love.
A lot of times they're saying what everybody's thinking. Just they're wrapping it in a joke.
Because nobody would go there to see a guy complain for an hour. Yeah. But if you spin it in a way that's funny, it is. But how the fuck did I get to this subject of comedians? Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. But, oh yeah, it was because of George Costanza. Thanks, Josie. I can see her in the back. She's like, George Costanza. But
Seinfeld.
But see, this is what the beauty is, because he literally becomes extremely smart. But this is not a joke. Stop. I challenge any man out there. Don't start masturbating. Start doing it twice. No,
If you're not doing it at least 4 times a day,
you're a fucking quitter, bitch. But I challenge any man out there to not masturbate for a month. The first 2 weeks is going to be brutal. The third week, you're going to be able to smell pussy from across the street. I'm telling you, there's going to be a fat woman that you don't even like, and you're like, ooh, there's something on her. You don't even care. At that point, you're just, I don't care.
But you see how like motivated then, like in the state that you're imitating is how, think of how motivated now you are to actually go and interact with somebody.
But then pass it another week, and then you start to realize that your focus switches. It starts going into a completely different direction because, as you said, you don't have that dopamine release that crashes your metabolism and your will to do something else. Yeah. And this is where the beauty starts happening. If I'm not mistaken, it's 30 days. And Think and Grow Rich talks about that your semen contains the most powerful male energy. You create life with that mixture. So it is the most powerful substance that you're capable to produce as a man. After 30 days, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me, I'll have to research it again, but it gets reabsorbed. And that's what Napoleon Hill talks about in his book. It's that power that gets reabsorbed, and you can use it to focus on something that really matters. And even Seinfeld understood that in the 90s and made a joke out of it. But when I first saw it in the 90s, I never fucking understood that. But now as a man, I looked at it and I'm like, holy shit, they fucking knew something. And I guarantee you that nobody back then actually figured out what he meant. They don't realize, oh, he's smart. He was always smart. He was just wasting his potential. What's the number one thing? I'd like to hear your opinions. What's the number one thing you would say? Because you asked me what I would say to a young man, but I have 20 years experience on top of you, right? Yeah, on top of you. See? Fucking sexual again. But I have 20 years on you guys. What is one thing that you would tell young men that are, I don't like the word motivated, because motivation is bullshit. You need discipline. Motivation doesn't serve any purpose, in my opinion. But what's the number one thing you'd say to inspire young men? Like 20-year-old, people like you.
You'll never be this young again. This is the youngest you'll ever be. And so we only have one life to really... We only have one chance at this thing called life. And if you wake up every day pretty much with your back against the wall, everything that I've done up to this point might have brought me here, but at this point, all that matters is what's in front of me. Whether you have baggage you're carrying or you have great things behind you, all those things shaped you up to who you are today, but you only have one chance at this thing called life. So make decisions based, like this is kind of my biggest motivator as to why I necessarily didn't want to go the corporate route. And it's because it's just like, if I was like my 80-year-old self, right? Looking back, and would I have wanted to at least try to go after my dreams, meet as many great people as I could, learn as much as I could from the people that I think can get me there, as well as just work my ass off. My 80-year-old self, I think, would turn around and he would like that person versus somebody that, didn't go for it, didn't take the risk, didn't do all he could to work and meet the right people. It's really just, to sum it up in a statement, it's really just you have one chance at this thing called life, so make decisions based off of that one chance, pretty much.
Yeah, and I think for me, I'll kind of tying a little bit of that, but more so that I like how you kind of brought up, like when you're older and you're on your deathbed, you're not going to be worried about, what that girl thought of you or what all the haters thought of you when you were 20, 30 years old. But
that assignment you didn't do.
Exactly. And that's a big thing too. I'll go back to that. But again, I'm at such a point in my life where it's like, I am still in college, but I am in such a mindset where it's like, I'm taking any experience and opportunity over. I don't care if I miss school, and I'm meaning it more so in a way of like, I was going down the whole of like, there was someone that went around to all these nursing homes and he interviewed like thousands of people. Yeah. Like, what was your biggest regret in life, right? And it wasn't necessarily, I'll tell you what the number one thing is not doing the things that they wanted to do.
That's the only regret that people have on their deathbed. Absolutely. Is not doing what they wanted to do.
So I just say, kind of in line with that, is one of my favorite quotes that I tell people is, take the risk or lose the chance. Or there's a will, there's a way. And, ultimately, opportunities, they come and go. It's up to you to really to take risk in certain scenarios, because you never know when you'll have that chance to capitalize again. And then I'll just kind of say, this is probably one of my like favorite pieces of advice, but I really do think, relationships are the absolute like most important thing in the world, starting with our relationship with God.
Another thing before I pass it over to you, Josh, is just kind of like a even additional point to what I was kind of saying of like, we only have one chance at this thing called life. When deciding whether you want to do something, look at it as if it's your only opportunity to do it. Whether just meaning sort of just like, and really when you wake up every day, that's almost kind of what you get. I'm 22 years old, and basically God's saying just like, I'm giving you one chance to be 22 years old right now. What the fuck are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? And it's same thing for different of course, like there might be different things that you might have the opportunity to do again, but really when it comes to life experience and just really things that if you look at them and they're hardcore, like, oh, you're scared to do this or you're fearful, fuck all that, put it to the side. You might not ever have the chance to do this again. So.
Before we go off to you,
come on.
No. I'm gonna say one more thing. No. I'm sorry. No, because while we're here, I'm gonna say one more thing. But you know what I'll say, and it's funny because this is actually something from Andrew Tate. Is that a lot of people, they love his perspective on whether it's women and teaching, men how to be men and all this and that. But one of my favorite lessons that I've got from Tate is that discontentment in your life, right? That is a sign that you need to get the fuck up and get going. Meaning that in society today, people tell you that, oh, you're discontent, you need to go get on medication, you're depressed, you're anxious, all these things. It's like you need to curl up in a ball and just let the world pass you by. No, that when you're discontent with your life, that's a sign that you need to get motivated and find what fulfills you, find what makes you happy, do self-reflection, realize, think about the bigger picture. I have a lot of friends that they may ask for advice on like, oh, this girl, she left me or whatever. And whenever there's scenarios like that, I always just think, man, think about the bigger picture. You're living in one city in a small part of the world right now, in a small state. You got to really think about the amount of people that you're going to end up meeting one day outside of the place that you live now. Think about the bigger picture. And again, think about the things that fulfill you. Think eternal, think beyond just life here, but rather like a lot of the things that you're so worried about now, it's not going to matter. You can't try to fill a void, trying to chase things that are temporary, but rather think about the bigger picture and where you want to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have an opinion, Josh?
Yeah, I think it is my go.
My bad,
I think it is my go. No, you're good.
Well, one more thing, actually.
And for the third point. So I have two things. So the first one is if you really want to do something, it doesn't matter what your family says, doesn't matter what your friends say. It literally doesn't matter what anyone, even in your community, thinks. If you feel a calling to do something, just do it. Like, fuck what everyone else thinks. People are going to hate what you do at the end of the day. You're never going to be able to please anybody. So at the end of the day, just make sure you're happy with yourself and do what the fuck you want to do. So if you want to be a garbage man for this life, be a garbage man, But then the second thing, and this is actually the biggest lesson I got from Jack and James actually, is you really got to leave your hometown. If it wasn't for them, I probably would still be living in Virginia right now. Maybe I'd move in the future. I don't know. But I think that has definitely been the single most transformational thing I've ever done in my life is literally leave my hometown. So I'm forever grateful to them for that. But seriously, this community over here, compared to the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, is so much more motivating. People are, the network here is incredible, and I wouldn't be doing this right now if I didn't move from my hometown. So seriously, if you want to accomplish something great, get out of your small hometown and move to where there's opportunity.
And that is it. We're leaving it right there. Peace out.
You've been listening to the Nico Lagan Show. Nico has been involved in the martial arts for 20 years. He's a Muay Thai coach, focus coach, podcaster, and sought-after public speaker. We hope you've enjoyed the show, and we hope you've gotten some useful and practical information. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Coach Nico Lagan and on YouTube at The Nico Lagan Show. See you next time.